if we're not keeping our money into those baskets for researchers to apply for grants, we will continue to serve the narrative of the external funders. My question, Minister, is how do we ensure where we are now and where we want to be, that the remaining 52 to 53 countries fall in line with that pledge? And what can we do as youths to ensure that we are pressing these governments to contribute their GDPs towards the national research service?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. My name is Etienne. Minister, I'm not a mechanical engineer, but I'm a chemical engineer on here. So, Minister, maybe is something next we should think about stepping up these things that is during the issue of climate change, because there's no way that we are going to avoid this issue or invest in it, because this issue of climate change has become a reality. So I think SADC, because of Niger, we should somehow have started taking on the ways maybe to come up with a ministry that specifically deal with the issue of climate change. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we'll take the last question.
Thank you so much. My name is Magdalena Isse, and I think most of the participants in this case have already said most of what I was saying. But I'll just, you'll correct me if I'm wrong. Based on the speech that you were giving earlier, you mentioned that you're supposed to should be very cautious people. You should think, but you should reflect about the voice and say. Now, you can speak, but watch your limits. Yeah. So what advice do you give us young people who are advocating for climate change, as well as issues that are affecting us as young people, mostly young women that we keep facing the patriarchal system in our society?
Thank you so much, Deputy Minister, for your presentation. Mine is one. In current trend or in Africa, we have seen, for example, in some of the countries that are trying to build the strong institutions that can at least involve young people to mentor them and to make them to become the reader of today and tomorrow. But in some of the countries, we have seen the young people, they have even denied the rights of having their own institutions. For example, as we speak today, there are some countries where we don't have the National Youth Council. So the young people, they have nowhere to take their voices. They have nowhere to raise their voices. Maybe from the perspective of SADC, we can request to have a common voice. How do you see we young people who are coming from the countries where we have not such platform? What can we do to make sure that we are increasing the pressure maybe on the government, on the stakeholders, have institutions that are representing young people, so that young people can have voices and push their own agenda? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Probably what I look, remember, I'm here as a government official. So what I say on the platform there will be interpreted as the whole government decision. And that's why I've made that disclaimer. You guys don't have it. If by any means you have that constraint, it means there's a bigger problem. All right? Because you are not beholden in the same manner to the state how I am. You are able to raise critical issues. I'm able to raise critical issues, but in a government structure, at once policy is determined, decisions are taken, I'm not allowed. There's no my view anymore. All right. So you have the privilege of being agile. Now you have seen that Banana won the African Nations Cup. It's because they've been agile when they scored those 2 goals. You've seen, I hope you guys have seen the match. So let me tell you also maybe just one advice. If your elder statesmen and women don't appreciate your qualitative engagements or contributions, it normally means there's not a problem with them. It's a problem with you guys. I have seen that sometimes when you have serious young people that engage at the level of heads of states, etc., and then there's anxiety from the head of state. I'm meeting these young people. Is it clear? Do I understand what they want? What is my response? So if a head of state or ministers doesn't have a particular anxiety before they meet you, then it means there's a problem. All right. And how you gain respect is by being prepared. The worst thing is when you talk a lot and say little. You know there's a problem. You only, if you are granted time for the minister, you must make more time to greet the minister than the time of your input. Because your input must be quality. If you are not able to, when we speak about climate change, you are not able to understand out of your head what is climate change, what does your Glasgow COP26 speaks about, what is climate financing, what is nationally determined contributions, what is it when you say by 2050 you want to be net zero with carbon footprint? If you don't understand that at a detail level, you are not going to get that respect as a young leader. And that's why I've said to you, look, you can have that one page type up somewhere, just highlight your key concepts. But then you need to have a one page that speaks or 2 pages that deals with what I call scientific data. So that if that minister or head of state asks you a simple question. If Karabo meets with anyone that wants to, because she's an irritation, she speaks all the time on young people. So the best way to dissuade or to discourage young people is to embarrass them, isn't it so? So they will let her come. She speaks on climate change. They want this as young people. And then someone will just let her say, okay, thank you very much. Can you tell us when you have made that determination on net zero carbon emissions in South Africa, what is it required for the state-owned energy utility ESCO to become carbon free? And whilst you are at that, tell us, up until 2034, the meeting of your Sustainable Development Goals, how many megawatts of ESCOM should it produce? Goodness. It sounds like an intellectual question if you don't know the answer. So she must know that, look, up until 2030 for us to be conforming to our carbon footprint emission, ESCOM needs to reduce between 8,000 and 12,000 megawatt of energy. That's the answer. Do you think I'm also not a mechanical engineer? But I study this so that I understand when I engage with those that are different generation of me in the camp, I must not be found wanting. All right? So as young leaders, first thing what you must do is to make sure that you are not found wanting. Don't engage in a discussion and on an input issue if you have not been taken through at a detail, so that when you pitch highly of them. The one that must be disorientated must be your audience. All right. So I think that is that is what we speak about intellectual lobbying, advocacy work, etc. And the one way to do it is that you have this SADC Youth Forum. Every country in SADC is supposed to have a youth structure, a government youth structure that are supposed to be funded by government. You are supposed to have them. In South Africa, we have the National Youth Development Agency. It gets funding from government, but it can also get funding from non-governmental sectors. All right. So the EU Green Fund are supposed to, for example, fund the SADC Youth People, Youth Forum. If you have your grant proposals, everything ready. Because everyone now are putting money for research, for advocacy work within the climate change space. So I thought that is important. The more political question, the problem is the doctor asks a more political question. He says, there is this contribution and decision made 1% of GDP must be allocated for the purposes of agenda. More political question is that normally it should be done, you know. But our government able to do we have a government that there's a positive balance sheet? So let's first start there. Most of the governments in the SADC region, your debt to GDP stands it's quite high. Eh? Let's say to err on the side of caution, say 70%. Let's say 70% of most governments have a debt to GDP ratio of 70%. What it means, the money for research and development goes to debt payment. Do you guys understand? The money of your government goes to debt payment. Our budget here in South Africa, our GDP, debt to GDP ratio, is the size of the entire health budget that we pay annually back for debt purposes to service our debt. So the first issue, what you guys must do as a structure is just to look at how you assess and make contributions in the lives of your specific government to ensure your debt to GDP ratio is reduced. Because once it's reduced, money frees up for other development issues, including research, including the youth development agenda. So I think that is a critical matter. Secondly, you need a stable country. You need a stable country. For example, Zimbabwe is going to elections in 2023. Lesotho is supposed to go to elections this year. Is those elections conducted in a spirit in accordance with the values, norms, standards of SADC? Because if it does, it will then create a stable democracy. You will have credit rating agencies that will look at it favorably. You will have a situation where there is financial constraints in terms of sanctions, that that international community will look at it more favorably. So you look at those issues. That coupled with the fact of the debates, broadly speaking, about cessation of hostilities, are SADC a stable nation? You know the interventions in northern Mozambique, etc. It's intended to make sure SADC is stable, because once SADC is stable, it then is the room for prosperity. All right. So that is a key and critical issue that I thought I must say. The last issue is that in diplomatic language, there's a term that they call climate envoys. I'm not sure whether SADC youth has climate envoy. Is there those three people on behalf of SADC young people that are seized with the agenda of climate change? All right. If not, as part of my contribution to your critical thinking, I would suggest probably there. Because that is what you call, if you come now with no, this is the head of, this is the program manager of climate change, i.e., where are you from? They don't understand that language. Because when you speak about SADC, you speak about a diplomatic organization. So remember, language is not neutral. When you want to engage with this issue of climate change and be seized with it, you rather ensure that you appoint your climate envoy. Climate envoys means they don't talk about anything else. They become the experts through which the SADC heads of states and governments look at young people. For an example, I think now in September, the DRC will start to take over the chairperson of SADC. DRC, yeah? So DRC is the chair of the SADC summit. If you want to engage President Felix Tshisekedi, and you say, no, we are the SADC, we are requesting a meeting, the program manager of climate change, you will never get an audience. But once you say, we have the climate envoys of the SADC young people wants to meet with the president of the SADC summit, anyway, the first thing is, it is my day. Is this serious people? But they at least will ask. Climate envoys, they have climate envoys. These are like young people. That is what they will ask is private office. They have climate envoys because they know the language of serious people. And I'm saying you guys don't have the language as yet. And that's why I'm telling you, language is not neutral. If you say you love someone and you say you hate someone, you provoke different responses. Isn't it so? So I'm asking you guys, part of this outcome, if the only thing that you remember what I've said, diamond earphones. That's my contribution today. Enkosi kakhulu, siyabulela, ngiyabonga, bayadanki, asante sana. I wish you well.
Thank you so much. Very pleased to be understanding. We are now.
Thank you so much. This moment in time, I think we now getting to a serious mood. You don't get your parents around you. So you want to do something crazy. And you are literally sitting on it. Maybe they leave. And you call your siblings and say, hey, comrade, let's go and play pillow fights. So right now, I think we can quickly jump into our first important conversation, which is the implication of climate change to the fourth industrial revolution. And I think this is an important discussion because when we talk about the Africa that we all want to see, you know, the amount of resources we are allocating towards research and development, I think is way below 5%. And when we also talk about the need for us to bridge the digital divide, I think that's a topic for another day. You know, because we can't talk about bridging the digital divide when we are facing an energy crisis across the African continent. I think in my country, Zambia, I think a few years back, this past few years, but I think a few years back, we used to have power cuts that used to go for over 8 hours, 10 hours. And you can't talk about bridging the digital divide, you know, and having universal internet coverage when you have a serious energy crisis. And I think with the conversation of climate change, you know, it ties well. We want to jump into the topic of the fourth industrial revolution. And I believe as we delve into this conversation, I'm asking each and every one of us to be attentive, and I'm asking each and every one of us to engage, to ask questions, to make submissions, so that above and beyond, we can have submissions that will be tangible, as the Deputy Minister stated. And you know, something that he said really hit, because I feel as young people, we have put ourselves in a box where we are quick to make noise, but the very moment they sit us down, they ask us, okay, comrade, what do you want us to do? We don't know, you are the government. You should know what's supposed to do, isn't it? I had a colleague of mine, a video colleague, his name, he's Nigerian, you know, he champions a lot of the AFCFT agenda. So he was telling me, he said, I'm sure all of us know of the SADC movement. You remember that one, right? You know, so it was a big agenda, it was a big movement on Twitter. So after now, the leadership that be called, you know, the people, the leaders of this movement to say, okay, comrades, what should we then do? Please tell us. And they never had a tangible paper or a tangible response that they were able to organize to present before the leadership that be. And I think that should not be our case, isn't it? Where each and every advocacy that we're bringing to the table, we have tangible results. One thing that I always say is that the problems of Africa are inevitable. But as a people, we have to be the inevitable solution to Africa's inevitable problems. But the only way we can reach that point is when we delve into conversations such as climate change and the fourth industrial revolution with an insight and with a deliberate response. Yo, I said so much English. Come on. Okay, let's get into it. Our facilitator, Sheffield Magona, the head of business innovation and entrepreneurship. Aside. Questions of
Being the good host that I am, I'll try by all means to forgive you, comrades, because the English that I just said here has been completely diluted. What I mean, I said so many things about industrial revolution, and they're telling me to go into the I think it's all right. I think at this moment in time, ladies and gentlemen, we'll quickly jump into it. So we'll have our conversation before